This is a review of my Oello permanent lights that I installed. I purchased the 150-foot acrylic kit online, as well as a 40-foot kit that's a bundle of metal channel with lights, because I wanted to take the metal channel and cut it into 2 light sections and distribute it throughout the house as security lighting or accent lighting. But the 150 feet of acrylic kit that I bought is outward facing lights that I installed just under the rain gutter along the roof line of my house. I installed this kit myself. However, this isn't a how-to installation video. More, I wanted to share some of the things I learned and review the lights in general. The install was easy. Oello has a great how-to video on their website, so check that out. The things I wish I would have known from the start is that the acrylic channel needs to be cut down to 88 3/4 inches. It comes about 95 inches long. However, if you don't cut it down, you'll find that the lights don't land between the joints, but if you cut it down, they will land right between the joint each time. The second thing is you need to get good crimpers. You're going to do a lot of crimping as you move along the light strands, and I went through 3 different crimpers before I found some that really worked. The difficulty seemed to be the middle wire. It's a 3-wire strand. The 2 outside wires are the same gauge, but the inside middle wire is a thinner or smaller gauge of wire. And even though they come with the kit are set for that size of wire, they seem to slip through with the crimpers I initially bought. So I was having a hard time getting that secure connection. So I bought a different set of crimpers on Amazon. Those were the same thing, and then finally I bought a 3rd set of crimpers, and this set did excellent. The set actually came with crimpers and wire strippers, and the wire strippers made the job much faster, and it came with a selection of connectors. So if you already have some crimpers, try those first. The third thing I wish I would have realized and known, and I don't think it would have changed my decision on buying these lights, but I didn't realize how big of a deal the dedicated warm white would be for me. What I mean is this light set comes with RGB LEDs. There's actually 2 emitters in each light that have red, green, and blue LEDs inside them, and the combination of red, green, and blue can create just about every color in the color wheel. However, when it comes to whites, this is the most difficult area for LEDs to produce. In fact, if you see a dedicated white LED, it usually has a coating, I think it's a phosphorus coating or something like that, a coating over it so that the light coming through it appears to be warm white or cool white. But then that's the only color it can do. If you get the RGB, you can create all the colors, including a color that looks like warm white and cool white, but it's just not a true warm white or cool white. And you can mostly tell that on reflected surfaces. So in my case, I installed several sections of lights throughout my house facing downward for accent or security lighting. When those are on, which are primarily on warm white, I can tell on the walls and the brick that there's a little more red or blue or green depending on the angle you look at it. And in addition, RGB lights can't produce a very bright warm white. So there are many sets on the market, permanent lights, that are RGBW. The W means that it has a dedicated white LED. And I think for the price, I think Oello really should include that in their lights. So, but again, I don't think it would change my decision because I wanted the traditional Christmas light look, outward facing. I didn't want the downward facing wall wash look for all the colored lights. I know that's very popular, and if you like that, then great, but I wanted the more traditional look of outward facing. And Oello, I think, does that better than any I could find. The channel that the lights go in, the way it seamlessly blends in with your home. You can get the channel in a variety of colors. So as you can see in the video and the pictures, it's hardly noticeable on my home. So I really appreciate that. So I think I'd still make the same decision. However, if I was doing downward facing lights only, I don't think I would go with Oello. I think I would go with something like Bright Home Lights that has dedicated white LED. Their lights are individually addressable like Oello is, and the cost is lower. So, but for outward facing, I think Oello is the best thing on the market. So again, I think the two main reasons why I went with Oello is the ability to have the forward or outward facing lights and the ability to do individually addressable lights. So what individually addressable means is that you can literally turn on or off any and all lights individually, change the color of each light individually. You're not restricted to a pattern of 2 this color, 3 this color, and then repeating or anything like that. You can do that, but you don't have to. You could make every single light in your entire strand a different color at your choosing. You could turn one light on, you could turn them all on, you could turn certain lights on. So individually addressable was important to me, and Oello does that. So that's the reason why I went with Oello. The cons, other than the warm white that I mentioned already, and these are slight, these aren't big. The app is generally pretty good, but I did notice that with the scheduling feature where you can schedule when you want lights to come on and what days, and you can repeat it each year, you can repeat it each day of the week, all kinds of options like that. However, I wish you could, when you're creating a schedule, that you could add multiple patterns to cycle through in a given time period. So for example, you might want to make a schedule to turn on during the month of December for Christmas, and maybe you have several patterns that you like and you want to rotate through those. It would be nice to load them all in and just do sort of a random generator where it just picks and cycles through hourly or daily or whatever. But as it is right now, you can only choose one pattern. So if you wanted to create a schedule for the whole month of December, you'd have to just choose one pattern. Otherwise, you need to choose a schedule for each day of the week, and then you could create a different pattern for each one, or you could create a pattern for different times. You could have a pattern run from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and then from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. But those are going to all be different schedules. So you can do it, it's just more labor intensive. So it'd be nice if you had the ability to make multiple patterns into one schedule and have it sort of cycle through or rotate through in a random way. But otherwise, I really enjoy the kit. I love it. I love the outward facing. I love that there are lots of patterns to choose from and movements to choose from, as well as making your own. Again, we really love the lights. They're great. I love how seamless they look with the home. I love that I don't have to put up holiday lights anymore. I love that I can turn them on throughout the year for holidays, birthdays. And I believe that Oello is a high quality product. They use good quality LEDs. Their warranty is better than almost anybody else's on the market that I could see. So I highly recommend Oello, especially if you're going for the outward facing look. Thanks for watching.